It's 2026 and you're probably already using at least a little AI in your corporate job, but the stakes are really high. According to the research, most people don't clearly know the distinction between what you should and should never tell an AI, are scared of leaking confidential company data, and are worried about AI hallucinations and looking lazy or replaceable for using it in the first place. These fears are really valid because AI is still a gray area in so many companies. And there are no universal guidelines yet. Seriously, I tried to find any reputable source, doesn't exist. Given the risks, this is how I would use AI in my corporate job without getting in trouble. I'll cover stuff I would never ever tell an AI and my personal 3-step workflow for using AI safely at a corporate job. Pop quiz. What is the difference between consumer AI and enterprise AI? If you can understand this, then you can avoid one of the biggest mistakes that causes data leaks at work. Consumer AI are these AI tools built for the general public. They're super user-friendly, but they may store and analyze any data that you put into them to train their public models. Anything that you enter here is at a high risk of being leaked. Enterprise AI are AI tools built specifically for organizations. These are compliant with legal and industry-specific regulations like these and are often encrypted and have access controls. A classic example is Microsoft Copilot that comes built in with your work email, and a lot of different AI companies have enterprise versions of their tools. So, using AI at work, I would first check which enterprise tools my company has access to. And if the answer is none, then honestly, I would pitch my manager to subscribe to 1 or 2 tools that could speed up our work. Now, even if I had enterprise AI tools, I would never ever input 4 kinds of things into it. This is a good example because it has a few of the things that I would never enter into an AI. First, people data. Real name, home address, phone number, date of birth, social security number. If the data can identify a real human being, I will never enter it. Second, HR data. Performance reviews, disciplinary notes, medical or health records, salary details. Doesn't matter if it's mine or someone else's, I won't enter it. Third, financial data. Unreleased earnings, pricing ladders, internal account details. If it's not already in a public press release, I will not enter it. Fourth, trade secrets. My company's software code, unreleased product plans, anything that can be covered by an NDA. This information has value, so I will never enter it. Instead of using specific company details for a prompt, it's always better to just use generic prompts to get the information you want. So here is how I would fix that exact prompt. Same task, 0 identifiable data. Instead of asking the AI to write the review, I'm just asking it for a generic draft. Then I go offline, download the document to my computer locally, and manually enter the information. This way, I don't waste my time on creating the template, I spend it on the actual task. Also, as a hard rule, never input real company documents into any AI. So use AI to get outputs, but don't give it inputs that you can't control. Now, here's my personal 3-step workflow for using AI at work. Step 1 is the thinking layer. This is where I use AI tools as my thought partner to just gather my ideas and my thoughts before I start working. So for example, if I have a creative task, I'll ask AI to give me 50 or 100 different ideas to get inspired. The blind spot test, asking AI to critique my ideas and tell me what's wrong with them. Another related task is research. If I'm researching a topic online, instead of spending hours reading articles, I would use a tool like Notebook LLM to quickly just summarize the various ebooks, articles, and PDFs, the ones that I got from reputable sources, but use the tool to quickly summarize them. Self-learning. If I don't understand a specific jargon or a way of doing things, then I would use AI to teach myself quickly. Step 2 is the execution layer. So this is where I'm turning my ideas into actual high-quality outputs. In this layer, I'm using AI as a virtual assistant and getting it to quickly do a lot of admin tasks for me. Minutes of meeting. Instead of typing out the minutes of meeting myself, I would use the built-in tools like in Microsoft Copilot to automatically generate the next steps and be able to send out the meeting minutes. Getting the first messy draft. Use Claude or ChatGPT to get the first draft of common business documents as templates like one-pagers, internal memos, emails, SOPs, and job postings. data analysis. I would never input real company documents into the AI, but if I'm doing data analysis with Excel, I would use AI's help to figure out how to do specific functions or Excel macros and things like that. By the way, here's a prompting formula that gives very good outputs for tasks in this execution layer. The more details you enter into your prompt, the better the output. The last and most important step in this workflow is the refinement layer. This is where human judgment comes in. I fact check everything. For example, for the meeting minutes, I manually read through them before I send out the email. Or for a tool like Notebook LLM, when I'm doing research, I make sure that all of the sources that I'm inputting into that tool are good and reputable, and the tool is just summarizing whatever I input into it. I scan for bias. We know that AI reflects stereotypes from its training data, so I manually proofread any kind of copywriting output that it gives me, like emails or job posts or anything else. Finally, I take full ownership. I think of AI kind of like a junior, inexperienced intern. Whatever I get from it, that's my starting point, and then that's when I can actually improve and add on my own expertise to that. If the work has my name on it, then obviously I am responsible for its accuracy. In this workflow, AI helps me be more productive and creative and focus on the most important work, which is what I'm being paid for. Again, I use it more to get outputs that could be a starting point for me rather than inputting any company information that could get my team in trouble. I hope this gave you some ideas on how you can start using AI at work. I'm sure we're going to start seeing more enterprise AI tools come in, but until then, I think this is a pretty good workflow. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.